everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. We're in a weird mood today.
We are.
It's gonna get weird.
Mm-hmm. But I do like that we both are in weird moods.
We're rarely not synced.
I know. It's so weird.
I love it though, because like I can't deal. I'm not good with friends where we're like on different pages.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to be on the same page, and I don't even want to talk about being on the same page, but we're just there.
Yeah.
And we're just like,
are you bleeding as well?
A little bit still.
Okay.
Are you done?
No, I started like 2 days ago. I was a little bit late.
Today's my I'm wearing white, so I did like a tampon for safety. But like I freeballed it last night and I was fine, I think. But I was wearing dark sweatpants. So
also, like nighttime's different too.
Yeah. Something about gravity, something about nighttime and showers. I'm like, I don't understand the science.
Yeah.
If there is any, but like it's different. If you guys are new here, this is an advice podcast. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Should we get into the episode?
Let's do it.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I am 23 and I just started my current job in October. I was the youngest one in the office besides one other girl who was my age, and one day I was working with her one-on-one and we started chatting about our lives and just getting to know each other. And she asked me my opinion on her relationship. She was married and got divorced, and she's now dating her ex's best friend. And I told her, like, I don't know if this would align with normal girl code, whatever, but like, honestly, who cares? As long as you and your boyfriend, like, aren't best friends with your ex anymore, like, who cares? So flash forward to a few months ago, they actually got engaged, which was like, good for them. I'm happy if they're happy. But she texted me saying, you might have to be my bridesmaid. And it kind of like made me feel weird because, like, first of all, she said you might have to be, like, what do you mean I might have to? That was like kind of weird. So I kind of just responded like, OMG, crazy. I'm so happy for you. Because like we just met a couple months ago and we aren't even that close of friends. Like we only see each other at work and like don't really talk about things outside of work very much. So I kind of just brushed it off and didn't bring it up again. But then a few weeks later, she snaps me directly and says, will you be my bridesmaid? And I'm like, I don't know what to say because it's on Snapchat. So there's like red receipts. And I'm like, girl, I barely know you. I was so flustered. So I just responded and I said, OMG, I'm so honored because I didn't know if I wanted to say yes, but I didn't want to say no because I didn't want to be mean. And basically, I just feel like I have to text her and say something about not wanting to be in her wedding, but I don't know how to break it to her softly. And I don't really have a good excuse because the wedding is in September of 2021. And I don't know if like money would be a good excuse because it's so far away. Anyways, I don't know what to say and I need your help, please. I'm a Cancer, so I feel awful about the whole situation. I really hope I can hear your advice and I love the podcast. Thanks for creating it. Mwah, bye.
This is my worst nightmare.
I mean, yeah.
I know. This is my worst fucking nightmare. I mean, like, I couldn't. I'm so stubborn. Like, I'm not a people. Like, I'm like to a fault. Like, I'm not a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Meghan pleaser. Like, I'm not gonna fucking do something I don't want to do. Like, I'm so stubborn. But this, like, if I was in this, like, I would be like, fuck, dude, you're right. Like September 2021. Like, what the fuck is the excuse?
I mean, by that time they may be best friends. But I'm thinking that because this girl is dating her ex-husband's best friend is engaged to him.
She has
no female friends. And probably if she did, they probably like don't want to be part of her messy life now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're all that she's got because you encouraged the relationship. So she's like, this is my champion.
Wait, can we also talk about, oh my God, that's crazy.
I know,
like,
that would
is
have been something I would have said too.
like that's literally like my go-to. I'm just like,
Wow.
wow, that's crazy.
Jeez.
Oh my god. Oh, I feel so fucking bad for you. I mean, I think like it just there's no way to get out of like I at this point, because it is so far ahead, there's no way to get out of it without hurting her feelings and like looking bad and like most likely ruining like the work friendship that you have. But if you're okay with that, then just say no and there you go. But
Yeah.
like that is like there's going to be repercussions of saying no and like you are going to kind of look like an asshole. But are you okay looking like an asshole? Like I'm fine looking like an asshole sometimes, like, but I understand if like you just have to weigh the pros and cons. Like, is it worth it to go? Or also, do you think they're actually going to get married? Like, do you think it's going to happen?
They planned it so far in advance. Who knows? But also, like, imagine being asked to be a bridesmaid in a Snapchat message.
I can't. Like, I actually fucking can't. Like, that's so weird. Oh, maybe you just say you thought she was kidding.
Yeah.
Because it was Snapchat.
But then you still have to
Yeah, but then
say
you get
no.
because then the issue right now is like, how do you say no to something that's a year like that is like in 2021? Like, how do you have an excuse then? But if you play it off like you thought it was, this could also really blow up in your fucking face. If you play it off like you thought it was a joke, and then until she brings it up later, and like you can be like, oh, I didn't realize you were serious. Like, I thought that was just like a thing on Snapchat. Like, I'm actually busy, or like I actually like finances. I'm not going to be able to. Blah blah blah. Because the other issue is too, you could say that like, I mean, my go-to excuse for stuff that is like, I really don't want to do, and like, is I will literally go somewhere else. Like, I will like get on a plane and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be out of town, and then I will actually go out of town to be like, no,
but
I can't
again,
do this.
it's still so far in advance.
But that's what I mean. If you can buy some fucking time, but the issue is like, we don't know what's going to happen September 2021. Like, what if you're like, oh, it turns out like I'm actually going to be out of town that week. Like, that's so sucky. And then it's like, hey, the wedding got pushed back a month.
Yeah.
And,
and also she would have to take off work if she's going to be out of town because they work together. You just have to be truthful. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because there's
like, what do you say? You just say, hi, I don't want to be your bridesmaid.
Hey, I don't feel comfortable being your bridesmaid because I don't know you that well, or your fiance. Because essentially, as a bridesmaid, you're standing up for somebody's relationship. Yeah. And if you don't know them, you can't truthfully stand there and truthfully be happy for them.
Yeah, and you're spending money.
Right. A lot of money.
Yeah.
Dresses, shoes.
And like planning shit for her as the bride, and you're like, I don't really fucking know you.
Yeah.
Like, that's also just so I also feel like you might be her only bridesmaid unless she has like a cousin or a sister.
Yeah.
Cause like she didn't do one of those like, you know, those like I got a box with like a candle and a mug that says like be my bridesmaid and like that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And like it's not like you're on a group chat suddenly with like all the other bridesmaids. Like it's just you.
It's just you.
You're the maid of honor.
They were the ones that were in her first wedding were like, nope, I don't want to be.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot that was.
Wait, he was probably the best man at her first wedding.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of like the other wedding.
Yeah.
Wait, they were married.
They were married, and this was her husband's best friend. So he was definitely in the first wedding.
Messy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe no, but you're a Cancer. You seem like a really nice person, so I don't think you'd go just to like watch the shit. Like if it is like a messy wedding and they're a lot.
But that could be the thing though. She could be like, I would be happy to come to your wedding, but I don't feel comfortable being a bridesmaid. Maybe that's what she says.
Yeah. I wish it was more normal just to like say no to being a bride, because like there is this like
no, but again, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes.
Yeah, I would come up with an excuse, but I just like hate the idea like that it's if someone asks you, you have to kind of say yes.
Mm-hmm.
like that there is that like pressure, and it's like, oh, and then I'm gonna have to do that for you in my wedding, but like I don't even want to be in fucking yours, and now you're gonna be upset that you're not in mine. Well, best of luck. Really fucking don't envy you.
Don't either.
I'm sorry. This is just like, I can tell the pit, you know? Like where you're just like, what do I do? Well, let us know what you end up doing. And if she has any other bridesmaids.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I just called, but I feel like it was all scattered everywhere. So I'm so sorry, Melissa. Please don't yell at me. I'm sensitive. I'm a Pisces. But anyways, I'm 23 and I have my boyfriend who I've been dating for like 2 years, going on to 3. And I've met his family once. And it was this year before like this whole pandemic went down. And, you know, we bonded. It was great. Awesome. And I fit right in. But thing is that today they've asked me for like this huge favor. Basically it would be me helping them, get a family member tested for COVID. And I said no. But the thing is that like, I didn't feel comfortable saying no. I didn't feel comfortable them asking me this favor, but I felt like I couldn't say no. And whenever I told them like, you know what, I can't do it. I'm already doing things for my mom right now, like getting groceries. And my dad is immunocompromised. Like I really shouldn't be risking myself like this. I felt very guilty. But this is an issue that I have constantly. Like I always feel bad whenever my boyfriend's mom asks me to do favors. And I can't do it. Like I will go out of my way to help her always. And I feel like, you know, sometimes, you know, I can do it and I'm able to and I want to, so I do. But there's some times where like I literally can't, but I still bad somehow to do it because I just can't say no. And whenever I do say no, I feel like a total bitch for not helping them. So my question is, how do I get over this guilt of saying no? And how do I say no? Because I am a people pleaser, I guess, especially when it comes to my boyfriend's family, because I feel the need to have them like me. And I feel like if I say no, they're not going to like me. But, yeah. Any advice would be great. Thank you so much, guys. I love the podcast. Big fan. And again, please be nice because I am a Pisces and I am very sensitive. Thank you.
See, as long as you guys give us this disclaimer,
right,
we will be nice. Mm-hmm. It's so funny that literally in the last call I said I am not a people pleaser. Like I am a Meghan pleaser.
Mm-hmm. I used to be a people pleaser. Very much so.
I 100% used to be a people pleaser. And then I became like an adult. Like not an adult. I was going to make a joke that was dark. But then like I like had like, I don't know, like read my book. Like not you, you've listened to it. But for other people, like I very much then became like a solo act. Yeah. And I was like, oh, nobody's looking out for me. So I have to look out for me because like I don't have anyone who is. And then that's how I became like the opposite of a people pleaser. But it took a long time and like, trauma. So it's not necessarily a good thing. But I mean, it's hard. I mean, first of all, I think it's a little weird that you've only met them once, but they like ask you for favors all the time.
Yeah, it is. Weird.
I think I'm just a little confused about like this. Like,
maybe the whole family she's met once, but the mom she's met a few times.
Yeah. And that maybe she lives like closer by and like her boyfriend, her son, her boyfriend is like, she works from home and maybe he's like an essential worker or something else like that it kind of gets defaulted onto you. I mean, I do kind of wish I knew if this was like specifically in this situation, like if she asks your boyfriend to, or if she does ask you, because like I personally have issue with this is also mommy issues, but like older women like telling me like, oh, take care of this, and not asking like men. That I have a big issue with because it does feel like the burden's on me. And you're looking down on me as a woman and like a head of household, like matriarch sort of thing. And then if I'm not living up to that, I am therefore a disappointment because I'm not living up to your expectations of what you're doing.
Of what
So, like,
a woman should be, quote unquote, those old-fashioned thoughts about taking care of the household.
And like keeping everything under control and like all of that sort of stuff. So I don't know if that's that kind of situation, because that can definitely fucking like get to your like that's fucks me up, and like you feel guilty because it also puts into question like your worth and value because someone else is making that a woman's worth and value, and then if you're not living up to it and you're like, fucking shit, like, am I not? Like, what the fuck is up with this? But I think in general, it's if they're not gonna like you, and anyone in regardless, if someone's going to like you or they're not going to like you saying no, if their positive thoughts of you and impression of you is contingent on you saying yes to favors, they don't actually like you. Like they're just they want you to be what they want for you. They want you to be like an agreeable, they want you to be handy, they want you to be like have access to you and do all of this sort of stuff. And if you don't fit that mold, then they're not going to like you. But then if they like that mold of you, it's not you. And like you have to like continue upkeep and hold that, versus people who like ask for a genuine favor or something like that and you say no because you can't. And it's not like you say no to everything, but you say no because you actually can't. It's not going to affect their perception of you. But that's kind of a thing that's already, you can't control it. Like they've already made up their mind, but the issue is your actual feelings about it. But how did you get over being a people pleaser?
So it got out of hand when I was in college, where I was just being stretched so thin that I like couldn't say no to anything. And then that was like my first bout of like depression.
Yeah.
And so that's the first time I actually went to therapy. And we talked about how like I can't fully please anyone if I'm not pleasing myself. And so I had to be selfish, basically. I needed to put myself first and be selfish. And there was no way out of that depression if I was going to constantly be taking care of other people and not myself. And so I got out of it I just started saying no to people. And it was like left and right. Like I was the president of this organization, and I just like couldn't do it anymore. And I was just like, I need to step back. And even though like this was something that was highly regarded, and like I went to the what's it called when it's not like a teacher that's over it, but the sponsor for the club that I was in, and I told them, and they agreed with me. And so I took a step back. Like I still would go to meetings and things, but I just wouldn't preside over the meetings. And everybody was understandable. And I remember the last day before I graduated, and I got up and I told everybody my story, and everybody was like crying. And so like everybody was being supportive. So if you're just truthful to people and just say like, I cannot do this, like this, I just say no. And if they ask for a reason, then give it to them. And if they don't, then just leave it at that. And then you just have to move on from it. And you can't feel guilty, because if you can't do it, that's not on you. It's not on them. It's just like, it's just something like you can't be full if you're giving from an empty tank.
Yeah.
So,
and putting your self-worth, which is, I'm so familiar, but putting your self-worth in the hands of other people, it's so hard. Like if that's the thing that like, that's how you feel. I don't know, like when you feel good about yourself is when other people are happy with you.
Yep.
You can't control that. And so putting your self-worth in the hands of other people, they're always going to be reckless with it. And they're never going to, because nobody thinks of that. Nobody's thinking that like my impression of her is either going to make or break her. Like people don't think like that. And if you can try and think like that too, of like when people say no to you, you don't get upset. Like
Right.
you don't like think less of them. And it's trying to regard, and that's like a thing that I practice like all the time in just normal stuff where it's like, especially like anxiety or like self-consciousness or like anything I think about. I'm like, well, I've never thought this about anybody else. So why am I thinking that other people are thinking about me? Or I've never noticed this about somebody else. So why am I thinking that that's like the first thing that people notice about me or like the biggest impression of me or all of that sort of stuff. But like you said, like it's a muscle. So saying no, it's just you have to practice. And the more you say no, the easier it is. And people will be more understanding than not, like you said, that like other people will understand because it's such a fucking common thing. Like it's so common. But until you are pleasing yourself and happy with yourself, there's no amount of people pleasing you can do to then be, again, pleased with yourself.
Yep.
And it's definitely a process. But I think that the more you start to say no, the easier it will get. Exactly. I used to have a very hard time saying no, and now I have a very easy time saying
Me too.
no. I need to say yes more.
Yeah, it's like I have to think about myself. And if like I said before, like if you can't take care of yourself if you're taking care of everybody else. And you can't be the people that are most important for you to take care of are your parents right now. You and your parents. And so you can't give to them to the other side. And I'm guessing they think of you as family, but even though you barely know them, but you can't help them if you're not helping the people that are close to you.
And they shouldn't expect that of you.
No, they shouldn't.
Well, best of luck. I'm excited for you to say no more.
Me too.
You know, those like inspirational quotes. They're like, say yes more. I remember my New Year's resolution a couple years ago was to say no more. And then like at the end of like, maybe it was like 2 years later, I was like, okay, I like really ram with no. I need to like get back to like, I'll throw in some maybes, some yeses again.
That was like Shonda Rhimes' book is called Year of Yes, because she would always say no to everything. And then for a year, she said yes to everything. And like a whole bunch of doors open. But then she was like, at the end of the book, she's like, I went back to saying no to a lot of stuff, but I just say yes to a few more things.
That's the mindset we should all have.
Yeah.
Because saying yes to too much, it's too much.
It's too much.
Hi. I've been in a long-term relationship where my partner, who is born male, is now identifying as gender fluid. Previously, it was a cross-dressing situation where I just kind of put it out of my mind. He just wanted to look pretty, like, whatever. We dated for a year and a half, and I got engaged. And after he proposed, he started to discover himself more, and therefore changing from cross-dressing to gender fluid. While I'm a cis straight female, and the gender fluid has somewhat made me uncomfortable, but I really want to be accepting. It's just been very hard. I've been talking to a therapist, and he has been too. I've been keeping this to myself for the most part, and I think it's just been hard because I've always seen myself dating a cis straight male, and now this is not the case. We are planning to get married, but I want to be full-on accepting and be proud of both sides of them as male and female, but I just haven't gotten there yet. Any advice on how to handle this? Maybe some research I need to know about, or maybe how to embrace more of the LGBTQ community more? Thank you.
I'm sure it's a very hard, like you said, like she doesn't really want to talk to talk to them about it because it doesn't sound like for you, it sounds like you are just trying to gather your, I don't know, like just go through this, but knowing that you're going through this by proxy of like someone else who is then going through it on their own. And I mean, I think the best thing is just to talk to your partner and ask them and say, I'd love to have an open conversation with you about this when and if you are comfortable.
Yeah.
And I love you and all of that. And I think that I would also like, it sounds dumb, but like, I don't have any specific book recommendations, but I would read a ton of books. And like, I know there's lots of YouTube channels. I'm trying to remember what their name is.
And I also think that there's probably a community of other people that are in your shoes as well that can probably help you with this, I would think.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like a
there's a
support group.
there's a YouTube couple that I don't fully God, I need to I'll figure it out and then we'll have it listed in the show notes if I can remember their name, but that I think that taking it upon yourself to like educate yourself more on the mindset and the process of going through all of this and going through like your gender identity and all of that. I would also say did she say how old she was?
I think no, she didn't.
Because I would also say I think that the idea of like what you picture your future, when you say you pictured your future with like a cisgendered male, I think that if you can look at that, like we picture our life in a lot of ways that when we grow up, we kind of realize that they fit into like society standards of like what is normal and it's what is represented like so heavily. And I think that if you can then look at other parts of your life where you expected one thing and then you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted, or like not what I grew up and was into, or not, I didn't like that. If you can kind of recognize that that's a shift that happens in every facet of your life. Like if it's whether you thought that this was going to be your career, or you really thought you were going to go to college here, or you thought that you were going to like have this, and this, and like what you really wanted. And a lot of the time, what we grow up wanting is what we grow up seeing. And we grow up seeing that like Kodak cookie cutter idea of what a family is, which is like incredibly heteronormative. And we have Disney princesses and we have all of that. And so it can be, I don't want to say it's like it can be something that you are conditioned just based on what you've seen. And I think if you can go out of your way to watch more like movies and read more books with the representation of lots of different people on the gender fluidity scale and like queer people and everything like that, I think I would assume that might feel a little bit, it might feel like a little bit more like, oh, wow, I had this idea of what I wanted because that's the only thing that I saw. And I didn't, and this is different to me. And this is something that I don't know a ton about. And knowledge is power. And the more that you can like learn and read and understand it
without putting it on them.
Yeah. And I think from there, like gender is a construct. Like it is like it is so, it's just, yeah, it's again, it's a fucking construct. Like people who like go around and like talk about like, isn't it so weird that like time is a thing? And I'm like, isn't it so weird that gender is a thing? Yeah. Like that it's so weird that there's like colors assigned, like each one and like things that you like and all of that sort of stuff. And I think a lot of people now are seeing, we're growing up and we're seeing representation, also because of social media, that we're just seeing more people with different like lifestyles and different like who they are shown everywhere, that we're seeing all of this sort of stuff. But all that matters is your feelings for your partner and how much you love them. And that's it. And that's what I think you need to focus on, is educating yourself and equipping yourself with like the materials and the knowledge to feel comfortable. I think about what I saw for my life when I was like younger and like how I pictured all of this, how I pictured my life. And it's completely different.
Mine's
like
completely
it's so
different.
And I think that gender is something, when you, from your call, haven't said that you've ever struggled with your own gender identity, it can feel something that is like so incredibly foreign that you can't relate to. But I think you can relate to growing up and being different than you thought you would be. It's like so normal. But when it's not something that you've personally been through, it's just about educating yourself so you can then just know how other people have experienced this and what goes into it, because you haven't experienced it firsthand. But I think therapy is great. I think that's fantastic. I would also like, if you really like your therapist, I think that's awesome. But if I know a lot of people in the queer community specifically. I mean, people in underrepresented communities or marginalized communities in general tend to benefit from a therapist who is specialized in that and focuses that on talks in that, because there could also be, transphobic therapists and like racist therapists, which is the fucking like exact opposite, like what you want from therapy. So if your therapist doesn't specialize in like gender and all of that, I think that it would hopefully like really benefit you guys from being with a therapist that is familiar with this journey, as opposed to you guys and your partner having to explain it. Because I think that puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, and also going to couples therapy could help as well, because you guys are going to individual therapy.
Oh! I thought you were going to go to couples therapy.
Yeah.
Go to couples therapy. Go to a therapist and a counselor who specializes and works specifically in like in the gender fluid queer community. And I think that will, help you understand, and also
it's a safe space for both of you to be able to talk and discuss your feelings, because both your feelings are valid, and this is hard, like on both sides. It's hard, and so and also if you guys set a date for the wedding, maybe put it off until you guys like don't focus on getting married, but focus on understanding each other's side in this, and then once everything's straightened out, then focus on the wedding, because that can put a lot of extra pressure on you that you don't need right now.
And I think you just need to reiterate to your partner that like, I love you endlessly, and this is not me like questioning our relationship. It's me needing to equip myself with the knowledge to be the best partner to you in this now, like to this identity that you have. I need to learn and understand so I can advocate for you, and so I can be super supportive of you, and so I'm not ever accidentally hurting you or saying anything that is harmful or perpetuating any of these ideas. And in order to be the best life partner for you, I need to be equipped with the knowledge of how I can do that, because like you never want to like accidentally say or do anything that's like harmful or hurtful. And it can be hard, especially like in those conversations. You don't want to push it with your partner. And I think with a therapist that they feel comfortable with too, you guys could have some really great constructive conversations in a safe place. But best of luck. Congratulations on being engaged. And happy for your partner for living their truth, living their best life.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after. Don't Blame Me with Meghan Rienks is supported by BetterHelp Online Counseling. We are in extraordinary times, and if you are struggling with stress, anxiety, or depression, you are not alone. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. BetterHelp counselors specialize in many areas, including relationship conflict, anxiety, depression, loss, trauma, and more. You guys know how much I am all about therapy. And the great part about BetterHelp is you can securely connect with your counselor in a safe, confidential online environment. So if you are, let's be honest, all of us right now, unless you're living in a place that is really handling this well, we're all stuck at home. And that doesn't mean that your mental health needs to disintegrate. It doesn't mean that you don't need to prioritize yourself. You can do that online. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help assess your needs and get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. And you can easily schedule secure video or phone sessions, whatever you prefer, with your therapist. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages. I text my therapist gifts, and it's a good time. If for any reason you're unhappy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. You guys know I'm a huge fan of therapy. I preach it. You know that every single call, when they call in, we're saying, first and foremost, go to therapy. I think it's a great thing. I think even if you're thinking about it a little bit and wondering, it's already time for you to go. And even if you're like, maybe I'll benefit, maybe I won't, it's always fantastic just to have a sounding board and someone that you can just talk and unload on and really just like get their feedback on your life. You guys know how much I've said that it's been incredibly helpful in my life, and BetterHelp is an affordable option, and our listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. Join the over 1 million people already using BetterHelp. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Get started today at betterhelp.com/blame. That's better, HELP.com/blame. Talk to a therapist online and get help.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. So I'd like to get some advice about feeling restless in a relationship. So this is kind of going to be all over the place because it's the first time I'm talking about it, but here we go. So I'm 24 and I'm a Pisces Aries cusp, and I've been with my boyfriend who's 27, I'm a Scorpio, for almost 3 years now. We're both halfway through graduate school, and like a lot of people, both of our schools/jobs have been remote for the past few months, and will be for the foreseeable future. When we first moved here for school, I was having a lot of mental health issues. I was feeling severely depressed and struggling to make friends and go out and have fun. But he, on the other hand, was thriving and making tons of friends and just living a fast life. Fast forward to now, most of his friends have left the city. Everything is remote. And as an extrovert, he's really struggling with the whole quarantine/social distancing thing. Not to mention he's received a lot of bad news from his family about their health issues, and just issues, etc., on top of all of the recent protests and triggering media content. All of this has really been weighing on his psyche, and to cope with this, he's just been staying inside most of the time, working and playing video games. And whenever we see each other, he just wants to make dinner, watch movies, and have sex. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but on my end, I've just been mentally thriving this year, aside from everything that's happening in the world. And I'm personally an introvert, and I always have enjoyed working from home anyways. So the quarantine/social distancing thing hasn't really affected me much. In fact, it's improved my mental health even more. So our state is still pretty much locked down, but I'm always trying to get creative and think of new fun things that we can do to switch things up, like going for a bike ride or hiking or kayaking, going for a drive to sightsee from the car. But when I bring up the idea, he says, "Well, think about it," and we almost never end up doing anything new. And whenever we do something, I feel like I'm forcing him. So I understand he's going through a lot, but honestly, in the years we've been together, he's not really initiated anything, and I was hoping that being here would change that. So I guess to make a long story short, I'm wondering how I could make him want to do more. And oh no, I ran out of time. But yeah, if you're still listening to this, I'm just trying to get advice on how I can get him to want to do more things with me, and whether or not I should ask him or tell him that I'm feeling restless in the relationship, because I don't want to put pressure on him, but I do want to prioritize my own needs as well. Thanks.
I think the thing here is that you said at the end of the call that he's never initiated to do anything to begin with. So,
Yeah, but have you ever said that before?
Right.
That's the kind of thing that I'm like, I totally hear you, and I think that's so valid, but he sounds depressed and struggling mentally, and if this is an issue prior to this, it's exacerbated by this,
Right.
and bringing it up now
isn't the time.
No. If it wasn't the time before, and I think that the reason why for you it feels like probably overwhelming is because, like you said, you are thriving here. So it's even more frustrating when you feel like you're not getting your needs met, because you're getting your needs met in all of these other ways, that it can kind of feel like the missing piece. But his mental health is the exact opposite, and he's really struggling, and he doesn't want to do anything new, and and I think planning to do stuff to cheer him up and hey, let's go take a drive, and being, I don't know if he's spontaneous or not, but being saying like, hey, we're going to do this on Friday. Not like, and you can say like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, let's do this. And not like in hypotheticals. Like if you plan it and do it and see if he enjoys it and see if like it does bring some happiness to his life and he is enjoying that, then that's great. But I think putting an expectation on him right now, regardless of the fact that he's always been like this and it's just gotten worse, there's no way to not tie that to his current mental health state. And so I think if you're unhappy in the relationship, that's valid and fine. And if you want to break up, that's totally valid and fine. But to kind of give him this, you're giving him a test that he's inevitably going to fail, like with his current mental health.
And he would have failed it before because he wasn't the one initiating anything. And so now you're putting something on him on top of everything else that he's going through. And it seems like he's just trying to cope right now. And you can't expect more of him than he can deal with at this point.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe he has what we would always call younger boy of two brothers syndrome, where everything had kind of been done for him and he grew up with his friends were always the planners and he like that was not what he really brought to the table. Like he was like, oh, he's number one invite. We always want him there. He's the one
best. That's always down to do stuff.
Yeah. But and he's like always a good time, but
that was
instigating it.
Yeah.
And so there is an opportunity to grow there, but that's when he's capable of doing that. And I think that if this is something that if you're done with the relationship, you're done with the relationship. Like, and that's again, like totally fucking fine. But if this is something that back then when this was originally happening, if you feel like you didn't say anything because you felt like the relationship was too new or you felt uncomfortable asking for it, or did you not ask because you didn't think he was capable of doing that? And if you didn't think he was capable of that, people can argue and say like, well, you don't know if you didn't try. Like you're allowed to like make those you're allowed to like make those judgments and those assumptions as someone's partner. And also it's the same thing we say with friends. Like a lot of the time when like people do shitty things, like I could tell you that this was shitty and like I want you to change, but like I don't fucking care enough. Like, and I don't necessarily think offense, whatever. I don't think that highly of you and that you are going to like adjust and change to this. And like it doesn't mean so much to me. And like our relationship doesn't mean so much to me that I'm going to ask you to change or to do something differently. But I think you just kind of have to weigh that. And then also if you have asked before and you have talked about this before with him and nothing changed, then I think that you just have to, I guess my like full encompassing advice is you either need to break up or you need to just deal with this until the pandemic's over. Like you're going to need to go this like 80, 75, 90%. And if you can't do that, that's totally fine. Yeah. But I don't think putting it on him right now is going to do anything but make it worse.
It's going to hinder your relationship.
Yeah, I think it'll fully just backfire. But it's hard. I think there's so many people I know who like are couples where like one is thriving, the other one is not. Yeah. And I felt like Monts and I were like that for a while, that like I was thriving. I'm definitely not thriving. Like, because I mean, we've talked about this before. I've always thought that I was an introvert. I'm not an introvert. I'm an extrovert with social anxiety. Yeah. And so I'm losing it. But for a while I thought that I was like crushing it and like he was really fucking struggling because he's also an extrovert. And now I'm like, oh, we're both struggling.
Yeah. There was like a month where I was thriving, and then now it's just like I'm getting used to this as being the normal, but I'm not like as productive as I was being because I just like I am exhausted and I'm doing a lot but not as much as I could be doing, but I'm just like mentally exhausted because I can't.
Yep.
I can't.
We're all trying to figure it out. Yeah. Should we go on to the next?
Hey, Megan and Melissa. So I have quite the situation. Okay, so it started the other day. I was in my basement. I have a stepbrother. I'm in college, by the way, but I'm living at home right now. So I was looking for movies to watch with my boyfriend, and I looked in my stepbrother's room and his kind of TV console, just thinking that there might be more movies in there. And I did not find movies, but I did find 2 pairs of my underwear. I was shocked at first, and I thought maybe our laundry got mixed up and he just was too lazy to bring it upstairs. But then I brought it upstairs, and then it was taken again, and it was back in his console. So I knew that he was taking it on purpose, and it kind of creeps me out a lot. So I told my mom and my stepdad, which is his dad, and he had a conversation with him. And basically, my stepbrother explained that he was using my underwear to get off. He has agreed to go to therapy and talk to a mentor of his, which is great. But my question is, how do I move on and kind of feel comfortable in my own house when I'm living with somebody who stole my underwear to get off? I understand that this is like, I guess, a fetish, but I just feel so uncomfortable and I really don't know what to do. So any advice would be great. I love your podcast, and yeah, bye.
As soon as I heard basement and stepbrother, I was like, no.
But is that where you thought it was going?
No, because we've had some fucking stepbrother fuckers on the show. Oh my God. Well, the word that I would really urge you to like recognize and use is violated. Like you feel violated, rightfully so. It's not just like an ick, and it's not like fetish shaming at all. This is your stepbrother. And also fetishes are great and fetishes are fine, and that's amazing. But we need to not tie fetishes to being violated.
Yeah,
and that's something that's like shame in the fetish community where people are like, oh, gross, ew, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, as long as everything's fucking consensual, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, that's great. Like, we need to not kink shame.
Exactly.
And in doing so, understanding that a kink does not cross your own personal comfort and boundaries and consent. Like, that it should never be like that. I can't believe he admitted, like...
I know. That's
like, the part
he
that I'm like...
He admitted it, but, like, what else could it have been? You know? If he took them more than one time, he had to have... I'm sure the stepdad his dad was probably already knew where it was going and forced it out of him.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah. And I'm sure that you heard it through your mom and your stepdad. Yeah. Like, I'm sure that it wasn't him saying it to you. I think it's great that they're putting him in like therapy.
That was going to be my first thing is tell your parents, but you did that. You did all the things that you should have done. You waited to see if they were gone again.
Yeah.
Then you told your parents.
I think that I think therapy is beneficial in general. I think you would also probably really benefit from
you should 100%
therapy
go to therapy.
Because it's
a violation.
And I think that's something that needs to be like recognized and honored, that it's not it is a pure violation, and it is, you're in your own house where you live with this person and you don't feel necessarily like safe or comfortable. And I would also say just like day to day is kind of shit. And this isn't saying that like your stepbrother is like a predator or anything, or anyone who has like a fetish is a predator. But like, if you don't have a lock on your door, like get a lock on your door. Like if there are other things, or like laundry, have like, if your mom is comfortable, like she's going to put the laundry away, or you're going to do it.
He just went in her room and stole it. Because if it
that's what
twice,
so make sure there's a lock on your door. But then on top of that, like, if like any other way that like you can feel like your stuff is your stuff, and
it's just like, even just being around him is probably weird. I'm sure it's weird too.
I was gonna
Google, but to like see if there are some things to help, but I don't think that the Google search would come up the way that I
No.
want it to come up.
I think you need to make your room your safe place, because I think your house
But
doesn't
it's
feel
not
like your
just
safe place.
yeah,
right
I
now.
don't think it's just her room though. It's like she goes to the kitchen and
No,
he's
exactly. And I
there.
was going to say, maybe get a mini fridge in your room. Like, get a projector, get some stuff that can feel like, if you're not, and I think it's going to be a process, and which is why I think therapy is the best way to go about like dealing with this and like working through this. But I think finding a way that you can give yourself a safe place in a house you don't feel safe, and a house that you don't feel comfortable, a place that feels really like this is yours. And so when you do have to, like, if there's, and even talk to your parents and just be like, hey, I don't really want to do family dinners for a couple weeks. Like, I don't feel comfortable with that. Or my boyfriend's going to stay over for a couple weeks, or I'm going to go crash at his place, and just honor your feelings as they come up, and not having anyone, and your parents do not seem like that. Like, they seem very understanding of this, but that there is, first and foremost right now, he is a person who has violated you. He is not your stepbrother, first and foremost. And so that family dynamic, you need to protect yourself and remove yourself from that situation in any time that it makes you feel, rightfully so, uncomfortable, and not being around him for like it whatever is going to make you feel safe in that house, regardless of if it hurts his feelings. You need to be your number one. Ugh.
How long have you guys been step siblings too? And
how old is
what's the
he?
age difference? I would think probably younger. She's got the basement and she's been away at college. I think he's probably younger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No, it's just it's violating, and it, I can imagine like how it gives you the icks. Like, it's just like uncomfortable and gross. But yeah, I really focus on you, and let everybody else focus on their own sort of shit. So you don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe family dinners. You don't owe a family fucking vacation. Like, you don't owe any of that stuff. Because also, what was it that I forget, we talked about it. Someone said, a guest said it in some episode, but like, you can't go out of your way to respect people's boundaries who they don't respect you. So if you're trying to like do all of this stuff and like, like, well, I want to upkeep this kind of thing, the person who violated that is the one who ruined that. You don't have to.
Sounds like something Meghan Tonjes might have said.
That's when I was like, I think it was a Meghan Tonjes quote. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't even. And then Corin being stuck inside.
Because she's usually not even there.
Yeah, which also then probably feels weird, like, too.
All right.
Well, sending you comfy and like safe, comfortable thoughts.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Okay, time for Don't Blame Them. You guys call in with your advice from a different episode.
So the original call was from season 6, episode 5, where the caller, she didn't know how to be supportive of a friend that was in a relationship that was toxic. So this is someone calling with their own advice.
Hi, I'm calling in with some advice for the girl who wanted help with being there for a friend that's in a toxic relationship. Basically, I was the person in a toxic relationship that would go to my friends when I was really upset and vent to them. And we were in the same friend group as the guy that I was dating. The guy wasn't a bad guy, just not a good relationship. But anyway, I would go to my friends constantly, to the point where they didn't like him at all, because all they would see about him and us was me being really upset. And it took me a really long time to leave the relationship, so they were just constantly having to watch that while simultaneously having to hang around him, knowing that he was causing me to feel like that. And now I can see how unfair that was to my friends to put them in that situation. And in my current relationship, when we have actual problems, I don't go to my friends about it. Like, I will if it's for advice, but it's about changing the way that you word it so that you're actually asking for advice rather than just complaining about the person that you're with. Like, if I know something isn't make or break for our relationship, but I think it could change the way that someone viewed him, I won't say it. I know this isn't really advice for a friend, but I do think that it depends on how it's making you feel. I have a friend who was in a relationship where her boyfriend cheated and she didn't leave him, and I knew that she wasn't going to. So I just said to her, like, as long as you're happy, I'm happy, but if you're not, then I'm here to help. And they broke up, and I was careful how I said things because I had a feeling that they were going to get back together, so I wasn't just like, yay, I hate him. I was just like, okay, well, I'll be here for you through the breakup. And then when they got back together, I just again was like, hey, if you're happy, that's okay. I'm here for you. But I think the difference is for me, that situation wasn't draining, whereas when it was me in the toxic relationships, my friends were going through shit because they had to watch it and be there for me when I wasn't doing anything to help myself. And I think that's a difference. Like, if you shouldn't have to go through shit to deal with someone else's relationship that they won't. And also toxic people can try to cause problems within their partner's friendship so that they have no one else and are kind of forced to stay with them. So I think be careful of that because, yeah, they will just try and cause any issues to make them have no friends. So just make sure that they're not left alone. And yeah, I hope this was somewhat helpful. I love the podcast. I've been listening since the start. And yeah, thanks.
I think that's so helpful. Yeah. And I think that distinction between when you get older or when you just have more experience in relationships or you're in a relationship that is like, it feels different, like whether it's a person that you end up with or whatever, that you actually don't like bitch to your friends about it. Mm-hmm. Like, and like if you, she said, like if you go to your friends for advice, but you do filter that in the sense of, okay, am I going to complain and bitch about my partner? And is this going to make them change the way that they think of them? And then is this a passing feeling for me though? Like this isn't a deal breaker for me, but it will be a deal breaker for them. And I think that's something that people also need to learn about with like talking about to their parents about relationships too, that we assume that everybody's in our own head and can be like just a sounding board. And people aren't sounding boards. Like they remember shit. They have their own reactions. And especially when they care about you, they have their own feelings about it.
Right.
But like she said, when she was in the toxic relationship, if it's draining for your friends, that it does put like it puts the friends in a position in which it's a lose-lose. Mm-hmm. You have to either prioritize you or you prioritize them. And like she said, yeah, staying in and keeping those friendships in a way that doesn't leave them totally alone, but also doesn't completely drain you and ruin your mental health is really important. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about it later on too, after that episode came out. And I think what I wish I would have said advice-wise, I think maintaining a friendship with someone who's in a toxic relationship so they're not alone is great, but then making sure that you as the friend are really fostering other friendships that fulfill you and sustain you, so then you can be friends with that other person still. Yeah, because you can't get anything out of them ever at all, and it's not really a friendship at that point because like there's no give and take.
Yeah, it's more of you just being there in case something happens.
Exactly. So then you need to go out of your way to fill your life with so many such good solid friendships that you can also then talk about this other stuff that you're talking about with your friend. And then that friend that maybe you used to go to them for everything, you have other people to go to. Mm-hmm. And so you're still in their circle. So they're there to support them. And hopefully once they inevitably break up and so they're not alone and all of that. And things can then get back to how they used to be. But focusing on other friendships so you don't get so fully drained from that. Which I think is I think that's very, very fair. Mm-hmm. Like oh my God, I would, if it's like your best friend, I would be like, I would die. Yeah. I would struggle hard. Well, hell yeah. That's it for our episode, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. And if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. Well, cool. If you guys haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do. If you want to follow us, we have an Instagram, Dumb Blonde Meme Pod. We have our own individual socials. My book is out. My presets are out. Melissa has a bunch of other podcasts. Would you like to promo one of them?
Let's see. What should I promo today? Let's go with Not Too Deep. Why not?
Woo.
Meghan was
I don't know
on.
if you guys ever heard of that.
Megan's
Maybe
been on
they've never heard.
3 episodes. She was on one
about
a month. I think by the time this comes out, it was a month ago. She was on one, and it was very enjoyable for me to see two.
Did you see all the
nightgowns.
comments that said that like Grace and I
You
looked
guys
like
look
the same
nothing
person?
alike.
That's what I was like.
I saw
I
them,
mean,
but
it's because we're
ignored
both
them.
beige. That's what I was saying about being beige. We're both just beige people.
I
a compliment,
think
Grace. It's not a bad
I
thing.
think your darker hair. She's actually a brunette too. She's like a dark brunette, and I
Okay.
think like this. I don't think it makes you look as beige. Actually,
No, I self-tanned because I look.
okay.
Well, no, beige is what I want to look like.
Got it.
Beige is like my hair kind of blends in with my skin, and like I have soft features. It's a haze of beige.
Haze of beige. Like
Yeah.
Ace of Base, Haze of Beige. But anyway, that's a interview show, and it's really fun, and you should go watch it. Listen to
And
it.
Bob Saget
whatever.
was also on.
Yeah, he was on the week before Meghan was.
Isn't that crazy?
But it was we recorded it the
Obsessed.
same day.
I'm dead.
Chelsea Handler's been on there.
Oh, that's a good one.
know.
I love that
I
one. I'm trying to think of some of my other favorites. I mean, they're all good.
Mhm. Even if it's somebody that I don't know specifically, she's very warm and makes it seem like there's somebody that she's been friends with forever.
She's such a good host in the sense that, like, again, like I literally will watch episodes where I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And like, I wish I could be as like, she's like so adaptable. Like, I'm like, I wish I was like that. People can tell when I don't like someone. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious.
Me too.
Yeah. Shows on our faces. Well, I think that's it. Our Facebook group is still closed for people who are asking.
Yeah. We've getting a lot of DMs. They're like, I just listened to the recent episode and I wanted to join the Facebook group. I was like, you didn't listen to the very end, did you?
Yeah. So we are, not accepting new members for the time being, and we will be accepting some later on. We're going to be changing the questions that get people in, and we've got like around 3,000 people in the group right now, and we're just making sure that by the time that you guys join it, that there are no stragglers of people who
we still haven't gone a week without kicking somebody out.
No.
So,
but yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's it. We'll see you next time. Goodbye,
Bye.
guys. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melisa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. Remember, Don't Blame Me with Meghan Rienks is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Counseling. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. You'll securely connect with your counselor in a safe and confidential online environment. Simply fill out a questionnaire and get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. BetterHelp is an affordable option, and our listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. Get started today at betterhelp.com/blame.